James Bond film Quantum of Solace opening this week, we're here in Southampton because, believe it or not, Swindon has a number of unlikely connections to 007, and it all starts right here.
Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, and the man who penned every one of 007's famous adventures, is buried in the parish church of St James's, Southampton, near Highworth. The obelisk on his gravestone marking the most noticeable, yet still unassuming monument in the churchyard. His final resting place is just within sight of Wanford Place, the grand country house that Fleming had bought in 1959 with his wife Anne, and where he spent the majority of his time during his later years. And speaking of Anne, that moves us on to our next connection, and our personal favourite, the Goldfinger pub. The Goldie, as it's known amongst residents in Highworth, was opened by Ian Fleming's widow, Anne, in 1971, and is uniquely named after probably the most famous of all the Bond books and films. The films, of course, being famous for their thumping good theme tunes, as well as the Bond action. And none better than Live and Let Die, the soundtrack of which was written and produced by another familiar face in Swindon, Sir George Martin, who lives nearby in Coleshill. But what Bond films are probably best known for are the glamorous locations, Swindon included. Not once, but twice.
In 1984, this was the award-winning Renault building, used for the location to film A View to a Kill, starring Roger Moore, who spent the day in Swindon shooting scenes inside the building. And one local Swindon photographer got exclusive pictures of Roger Moore outside the building.
I just turned up just as Roger Moore and Patrick McNee walked across the car park that's over there, and they came out of their Winnebago, walked off, went into the building, and no photographers were allowed in the building. It was literally for your eyes only for reporters. Right. The reporters were allowed in, the photographers weren't. Apparently Roger Moore had it in his contract that he wouldn't be photographed unless it was official photographs. But because I was standing in a public space, there was nothing they could do. These days I'd probably have about 12 minders holding me down, but then it was all right, we got the picture, and it's a picture that's lasted.
Swindon's connection to A View to a Kill, even extending to Bond girl Paula Ivanova, played by actress Fiona Fullerton, who also lives nearby. And more recently, Swindon played host for filming of its second Bond classic.
You may recognise the familiar site behind me, the Motorola building, used on location for filming The World Is Not Enough in 2000, where Pierce Brosnan and Judi Dench were in Swindon for 2 days filming.
The star himself, Mr Brosnan, staying the night at Chislton House Hotel and seen enjoying a pint of Arkles at the nearby Plough Inn. You could say Swindon has definitely been shaken and stirred by James Bond over the years, including a number of guest appearances here. Recently, of Bond girls, Bond villains, and a real 007 himself, George Lazenby, who we interviewed in Swindon in 2005.
And here we are, at the end of our journey, at the Empire Cinema in Greenbridge, where Quantum of Solace is about to hit our screens, starring the gorgeous Daniel Craig, who some say is the best Bond, but the character's created by only one man, Ian Fleming.